So in addition to a documentary letter of credit, also known as a irrevocable letter of credit, there is a standby letter of credit. And standby letters of credit are just like it sounds, it's standing by. Ideally, they never come into play. So it's a credit instrument that assures the two parties that if the agreement is not met, that one party can draw on that standby letter of credit. So there's a lot of domestic uses. Most of the standbys that the bank issues are for domestic transactions. It's a company that is building a new facility, and the insurance company wants to make sure that if they default on the loan or they do not finish the project, then they can draw on that standby. But in a situation where it's an international standby letter of credit, typically what happens is it can be, the foreign buyer is worried about putting up a 30% deposit. And he says, well, you want cash in advance. What if you don't ship? So I'm out 30% of my money. So what the shipper could then do is, okay, Mr. Buyer, I'll put up a standby letter of credit for 30% amount that you deposited with me. And if I don't ship, then you can draw on that standby letter of credit and get your 30% back. So it's like an insurance policy that sits out there and ideally is never used. Best case scenario is, you do a standby letter of credit for prepayment, and then the transaction goes through and the final payment is made and the standby letter of credit just goes away. There can also be other scenarios where you can use a standby letter of credit. We have customers that bid on projects overseas. So for example, the government of Ethiopia is buying airplane parts, and they want to make sure that the people that are bidding on that are valid companies that are really going to follow through. So they do something called a bid bond or a bid guarantee. So that means put up $5,000, and that means you're going to give them a valid bid. But if for some reason, you were not able to fulfill that bid obligation, they could draw on that $5,000 because you wasted their time. So that's a bid bond. And if you win that bid, the next level of a standby could be a performance bond. Okay, the buyer's worried that you're going to complete the transaction, and he wants you to put up a standby letter of credit that he can draw on if you don't fulfill the obligation. So if you fulfill the obligation, the standby goes away, and then the balance would be maybe a warranty bond or warranty guarantee. They want to make sure that for the next 2 years afterwards, if something happens, they'll be able to draw on that if you're not fulfilling the warranty obligation to them. So in the United States, the standby letters of credit are a common term. Overseas, especially in Europe, you're going to hear the term bank guarantee. And the United States banks don't issue bank guarantees, but it is a valid process in many other countries. So what we can do is, if someone says, I need to provide a bank guarantee to the gas company in India so I can sell these products to them, then we will ask one of our correspondent banks to help us. We will issue a standby letter of credit to Deutsche Bank New York, and Deutsche Bank New York will issue a standby letter of credit to a bank in India that is their partner, and then that bank will issue a bank guarantee to the gas company. So it's kind of like a back-to-back, but we can accommodate those bank guarantees. And that's a question that comes up sometimes for us is, my customer is asking for a bank guarantee, and I don't know how to get that.